Oh, I forgot to turn my lights on again. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am back again today with another pumped up Kickstarter. And today's pumped up Kickstarter preview is on Geekmon Capture from Merpia Games, who very kindly sponsored today's video. Now, as per usual with my preview videos, this is not going to be a full how to play, but more of a general overview to help you decide whether or not this game is a good fit for you. Few things to note: if this does sound like it's a good fit for you, all of the information is going to be listed in the description below, all the links, all that good stuff, and this is a prototype, so anything that you see is of course subject to change. So without further ado, I say we dive into it and learn a little bit more about Geekmon Capture, and I keep tapping the box, because why not? Welcome to Geekmon Capture, a fast-paced tactical game of creature collecting chaos. Travel across the land, gather the right tools, and outweigh your rivals to capture the most valuable Geekmons before they vanish. In this game, timing is everything, and a perfectly planned capture can mean the difference between glory and going home empty-handed. Nobody wants that. But what does any of that mean? I am so glad you asked. Let's take a closer look at how the game works. So this is going to be your general setup. Each player, and it plays between 2 and 6 players, each player is going to get a starting Geekmon. The starting Geekmons have these little hearts to identify that they are a starter Geekmon. So I have set up for a 4-player game, so these are all of the current players. So you're going to get your starter Geekmon and 6 cubes, all right? 2 of them are going to be a bit more translucent and 4 will be more opaque. Then you're going to place this tile in the center of the table, and it is double-sided. It's just art. Doesn't really matter. Youngest player is going to go first, and that's identified first player here by the little gem. What you're also going to do is you're going to choose 3 different types of Geekmons and create a deck. So I have picked the purple icon, the yellow icon, and the red icon. All right. You're going to put all of those in, including the evolutions of your starter Geekmon, and you're going to create a deck, and that's just going to set up over here. At the start of the game, a variety of Geekmon will appear in different locations on the board or the table layout. Each one is unique, so let's take a look at one of those cards. Actually, let's take a look at 2 of them, because why not? Each of these cards is unique, each of the Geekmon. Now, some of them are part of evolution, like different forms of evolution of that specific Geekmon. But what you'll see is you've got the name, you've got its number. If it has an evolution, that will also be listed on the card. It will also have its type or types listed up here. It will have the image of the Geekmon, and then at the bottom here, it's going to show what it is vulnerable to, and then also, because of its evolutions, how many points you'll get, but we'll talk about that at the end of the game. But that's the general setup for the Geekmon cards. There is also a regular side, and then there's a little bit of a fancy side, but we'll talk about that later. But just so you know, you want the white side face up. So let's talk about how the game actually works. What you're going to do at the beginning of the round is you're going to draw 6 cards from the Geekmon deck. These are wild Geekmon, and you're going to be placing them around this kind of location board. Starting with the start player, you're going to place one in front of them, and then we'll put one here. We'll do the whole example. Whoa, here, 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 and here. Now, one card that you may encounter that we haven't put out looks like this. This is a luminous card, and if one of these comes up, then you're going to take the next Geekmon and you will place it out, but you'll place it on its luminous side, all right? So that's the significance of these cards, and there are 2 of them in the deck. Now, the luminous forms of the Geekmon are just going to be worth more points when we go into scoring, all right? That's the significance of those, but this is what we're doing. We are putting all of these out. Then you are going to choose one of the Geekmons from your hand, and you're going to place them out in front of you in order to essentially battle the different Geekmon, but what you're doing is you're trying to capture them. Now to start, you're only going to have your starter Geekmon, but as you go through the game, you're going to be capturing more, meaning you're going to have more options. But to start, I would place mine out here. They would place theirs out here. You get the idea. All right, but moving forward, you would get to choose different ones depending on what comes out and what you might be interested in catching. Now we're gonna go into actually potentially catching some of those Geekmons. So that's where these cubes come in, and these are basically what we're using to catch the different Geekmon, and this is what turns this game into a little bit of a chaotic dexterity game. Let me explain. So like I mentioned before, we have 6 cubes. These are called geek cubes. We have 4 that are opaque. These are geek cubes. We have 2 that are transparent, and these are hyper cubes. The hyper cubes are worth more than, like, more catch points essentially than the regular geek cubes. But what we're gonna do with these, and everybody has the same amount, and you could choose whichever ones you want to bounce. We're gonna take a look around the board and think, I might really want to catch this one, or if your aim is terrible, you're going to go with what you go with. You are then going to take your geek cube and you are going to bounce it off of your Geekmon that you have out. Very important. If you do not hit your card first, it doesn't matter. The cube is just going to be gone. So you're going to take your cube, you're going to bounce it and try to land it on one of the wild Geekmon. That example. Okay, and so long as even just a portion of it is touching, it counts. All right, so everybody is going to do that. Let's just do a full, let's pretend that this is what has transpired as we were throwing cubes. So as you're kind of bouncing the cubes, a few things can happen. They can go into the abyss, and unfortunately, they just don't count if they're out there. They can land on corners, and if so long as it's touching the card, it will count. They can bump other cubes off, and if that happens, then the cubes are just kind of off. And then we also have one very special place on the card, which you can see right here. It's kind of circled in like a red swirly thing. These are called critical catch. So if, let's just say this was a situation, if I had bounced this here and it had landed on the critical catch, I would catch that Geekmon immediately. No questions asked, you just get to take it and you get to put it in your hand. It doesn't matter that there's other cubes on it. When you do that, you don't refill, it's just gone. That's now an empty space. But if you're wondering what those circles are, that's a critical catch. Otherwise, once everybody's cubes are out, we're then going to see who catches, who wins that creature. Now, like I mentioned before, the translucent cubes are worth more points in catching than the opaque ones. The opaque ones are worth 1 catching point, whereas the translucent ones are worth 2. So in this instance, my character, I'm purple, I would have 1, 2, 3 versus 1 for green, 1 for red. I would get this card. Over here, we have blue with 2 points, red with 1. Blue would get that card. Over here, red would get it, so on and so forth. Now, there is a possibility that we could have a tie. So if this were the case, blue and red both have their translucent cube, meaning they each have 2 catch points. That's where the different types of Geekmon are going to come in, as well as their vulnerabilities. All right, let's do this example. Now, if there is a tie, so the blue player has a translucent cube and the green player has a translucent cube, then they're tied for points. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at what that Geekmon's vulnerability is, and in this case, this one's vulnerable to kind of the grass type. Now, the blue player isn't that type. They have the little water drop, they're water type. The green player, however, is a grass type. So they are stronger against this type in particular, so they would win this, all right? Now, if there's still a tie, so let's say we are looking at something like this, because this is a water type, the red player is a fire type, so neither of them have the grass type to overcome the vulnerability, then we're going to look at the central target. So each of these creatures has these rings. So in this instance, the red player was really close to the center of the target, whereas the blue player was out. And if this is the case, it wouldn't matter what color the cube is. It could be translucent, it could be opaque, and if you're like, how would that work? Well, if red had 2 opaque here, then this is 2 versus 2, and whoever's closest to the center will win. That's how that works, all right? So once we have determined kind of who wins what, you're going to collect your Geekmon. So purple would get this one, red would get this one. We'll say that was on here. Purple gets this one. We're going to get green, we'll get this one, and green will get this one, and then blue will get this one. So everybody's going to collect their cards, and they are going to then collect all of their cubes. So now, just as an example, I have a team of 3 instead of my just starter Geekmon, meaning that the next round I can put out any of these in order to like battle. So you might be wondering, why would you choose one thing over the other? If there's a bunch of Geekmon that are out that are vulnerable to electric types, I probably want to put out my electric type so I have a better chance at capturing them. Another reason why you might want to put out one over the other is because at the end of the game, for scoring purposes, you're actually going to score more points if you get multiple of the evolution. This is chaos in front of me right now. As an example, we have this creature here, crawling. They are the first evolution. The second evolution is crawler, and the third one is behecrawl. So let's talk about that scoring now, and let me just get you a couple of examples. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so we have 1-stage Geekmons, we have 2-stage Geekmons, and as we just saw, we have 3-stage Geekmons, and these are all going to score in different ways. The 1-stage Geekmons that you have captured are going to be worth 6 points, just straight up 6 points. The 2-stage, if you have 1, it will score 4 points. But if you have 2, then they'll each score 8 points for a total of 16. This is why we want to get the groups. And same for 3. If you have 1, it'll score 4 points. If you have 2, they'll each score 7. But if you have all 3, they'll each score 10. So you kind of want to try to get as many of the sets as you can. There are also legendary creatures. There's also all of these different special icons, and these are all going to have their own kind of special scoring stuff, all of which is outlined in the rule book. So as you can see, this legendary is worth 9 points instead of the regular 6 points. And if you happen to catch something that's on its luminous side, it's going to be worth an additional 3 points when you're scoring. So you definitely want to try and aim for the pretty sparkly ones. If nothing else, because they are pretty and sparkly, but also they get you more points. Once everybody has collected the Geekmon that they won in that round, you'll start a new round. And you will continue to do this until the Geekmon deck is depleted. Once that happens, and then we are at the end of the game, that is when we are going to be scoring everything that we have in the way that I just explained. So you're going to be looking at your special types, you're going to be looking at your singles, doubles, triples, legendaries, all of that good stuff, and whoever has the most points is going to win. There are, of course, tiebreakers, so if you do have the same amount of points as somebody else, you're then going to look and see who captured more Geekmon, and if that's still a tie, then you're going to see who captured more legendary Geekmon, and if that's still a tie, then you're just going to have to share the victory, or even better, play again. Why not, right? So that is a general overview of how the base game works. Now, this game also includes a ton of different variants and ways to play, not to mention we also have expansions, we've got more characters, so everything that you've seen so far just comes in the regular box, but then you'll see we've got even more creatures to explore, which is very exciting. This one is Desafio Christus. This one is Nova's Horizons. There's a ton of these, and inside of them, even more Geekmon to explore. But that would include things like team variants, there's like arena battles, there's just a lot that you can do within this game, and obviously highly variable. There's also ways that you can alter your Geekmon and just create a ton of variety within this one game. So if you want just the base game, lots of game within there, but of course you do have a ton of different options. That's cool. This one is the arenas. Very fun. And of course, for those of you that like to play solo games, there is a solo mode in this as well. All of those different variants and modes and everything can be found in the rulebook. And once again, I will have the Kickstarter page linked in the description below so you can check that out and see everything that this game involves. So now your question might be, who is Geekmon Capture for? Well, this game is perfect for families who want a light, colorful, and interactive game. It's for casual gamers and gamer gamers alike who enjoy set collection, tactical card play, and anyone who enjoys a little dexterity, accuracy, and competition, really, because you are probably going to be going for the same Geekmon that other players are going for, and it's really fun to like knock their cubes out of the way, and it has kind of those high points because there is just a lot of action that's going on with that portion of the game. And also, if you enjoy cute creatures and art, like I'm going to show you some of my favorites here in just a second. But you can play this 2 to 6 players. Of course, there's also that solo mode, lots of different variants, and it is so quick. You could play a full game of this in like 15 minutes, meaning you can come back over and over again to play more and more and more and more. And where it's so fast paced and so involved and tactile, you're going to stay engaged from start to finish. So before I do my end spiel, there's a bunch more that are in the box, but I just want to show you some of my favorites. Adorable. Very cool. Vampling. That's definitely a favorite. Rostash, obviously. Let's just get out the box. Let's just look. So just so you know, because these are the ones that I've already had out, there's a bunch more, and I mean a bunch more, that are in the box in the base game. Look at those. They're like little triplets. She's cute. What's her name? Melody. Rock and roll, super rock and roll. That one's like a monkey. Yeah, there's just like, oh, I love that one. Very cute. Anyways, so my friends, if Geekmon Capture sounds like it might be a good fit for you, once again, all the information, links, everything you need to know is going to be in the description below. As always, make sure that you read reviews, watch videos, do all the stuff, do your research to make sure this is a good fit for you. But that's everything that I have for you all today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, we're going to Kickstarter for this one. But other games, you should first start by checking out your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And now I say goodbye. Goodbye.